Welcome, all you business geeks, to the Business Geeks Podcast, an entrepreneurial show where three friends geek out loud and proud. We are three geeks, but that's a different part of the story. We geek out loud and proud on everybody's business. I'm Super Joe Pardo, superjoepardo.com, and indiepodcasters.com. I'm joined by my two wonderful co-hosts, Jennifer Crawford, the co-founder of Sparent.co, and Samantha Riley of SamanthaRiley.global. This week we're talking about when and how should you make the jump to going from an employee to an entrepreneur. Or entrepreneur, as we should call it around here. Jen, how did your conference go this past week?
Thank you for asking, Joe. The Six Figure Salon was amazing. I had such a good time. We had great attendance and great engagement, which always makes it fun. And our very own Samantha Riley helped kick our first day off with a workshop, which was very well received. Everyone loved it. It was so much fun. So yeah, I'm really happy with how everything turned out.
Good, great. That's awesome. So did people cash in here? Did people feeling amped afterwards and feel like they could go and add another zero?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Definitely. I'm watching the engagement in the Facebook group. It's amazing. You should be very proud of yourself, Jen, and Mary Sue as well. It was fantastic.
Yes, I couldn't have done it without Mary Sue. And what's really exciting as event organizers is to see people taking action before, real action in their business before the end of the conference, right? So they're like making changes on their website based on advice that they got from Melina Palmer, or doing something to move their course, their programs forward, thanks to knowledge that they gained from Samantha. That's really exciting to see. And then also the collaborations that are happening and the connections that have spawned from it. That's just super, super rewarding.
I love it. That's awesome to hear.
So good.
That's awesome.
What about you, Super Joe Pardo?
And how did Icon go, Joe?
Well, as you know, Sam, because you were there, and you spoke as well.
Everywhere.
Yes,
I know, but I've been extremely tired for the rest of the week just from those two.
I was like, you're spreading yourself too thin with all of our demands.
I would have it no other way.
Oh, thank you, Sam. And thank you for asking, Jen. So it went really, really well. As some of you know, it was 80s themed. So
love that.
Overall went really well. I wasn't feeling well on Saturday and the first day. So and it wasn't this past Saturday. It was the Saturday prior for anyone that missed it. Of course, we missed all of you last week when we did not have an episode. But we all, I was wiped out. I was still recovering. So I had an ear infection again, which really sucked. And I was in so much pain that day. But fortunately, my community and my team stepped up, and both Amy J and Carrie stepped up, and they hosted 10 hours straight. In fact, afterwards they were like, I could see why you make other people super, because I don't think I would have done that otherwise, hosting that long in front of my computer. So it was absolutely awesome to be able to let them, and it felt weird too, right? To let somebody else drive the car of something that you've been driving the car for years and years now. So I just sat on the sidelines and I was texting back and forth with them and making sure that all the speakers were showing up, and the ones that they didn't know. So overall, it went really, really smooth. I got a ton of great feedback from other people reaching out to me, not only saying that I hope I feel better, but the ladies did an incredible job, and
they were amazing.
They
really were.
So happy to hear that.
I love that.
I did pick up back up on Sunday. While I did have a bunch of pressure in my ear, it wasn't pain, so I was able to get through that, and I was able to get a good night's sleep, which is probably the first time ever that I've gotten a good night's sleep right before or during a MapCon Icon event. So, so ding ding for that, because good sleep does not happen during those events.
Absolutely.
As you know, Jen.
For any event, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they are hard work.
It is.
I'm so glad that you both survived and you're back.
Yeah, well, I took a vacation while you two were working. I was down in Ocean City, New Jersey, with the family, so it was a good time off.
Awesome.
That's a really
so
smart thing to do. I wish I had done that after the virtual. I started doing that after in-person conferences, scheduling time away, like, even if it's just a few days of vacation time, because I felt like I physically, mentally needed it. With the virtual conferences, I underestimated how taxing they are, because
they're exhausting.
They're so exhausting. It's just as much work. It might not be as physically laborious because you're not on your feet actually the whole time, but in terms of like needing to expel energy and all of the work behind the scenes that it takes to pull these things off so it looks effortless, it's still a lot of work. So I had a pretty relaxed weekend.
Good.
But yeah, I wish I had taken like a more official break.
So Jen, do you have the next date for your next event coming up?
Yes.
What's
It's called Sales Circus.
Yay! Yeah. That sounds so fun.
We're going to make sales the main events in your business, February 15th through the 19th, 2021.
I'm sorry, February?
February 15th through the 19th, 2021.
15th. I'm literally updating the ticker as we talk, because I did not.
Oh, look at you go. Look at you go, Joe.
So and that's a virtual event, I assume?
Of course, yes.
Make Sales the Make Sales the main event?
Yes.
February.
That's so cool. I love your names, Jen. Very clever.
We try to have fun with it, because I think business should be fun, because I think it is fun. That's why I love geeking out about it so much.
Exactly.
And sometimes the pieces of business, like sales, we tend to not think are fun, but I think if we just have a mindset shift and approach them in a way that fits our personality and our brand, it can be a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's funny that people say sales aren't fun, because when I ask anyone, when you make a sale, how do you feel? They're always like, oh, it's awesome. Hello?
I can eat this week. How awesome is that?
Exactly, Sam. That's such a good point. Maybe that's a topic for an upcoming Business Geeks episode.
Absolutely. Yes. I had a mentor once say to me, if you don't have mojo, go make some sales. You'll get your mojo back. And he was bang on. 100% right. Nothing like making some sales to get your mojo back.
So true. So true.
Absolutely. And Sam, you have an event coming up as well, don't you? You were saying before did I misunderstand that?
No, it's not an event. I'm getting ready to launch my Business Success Academy, which I haven't launched for 18 months, and it is being launched with a lot of different and exciting pieces to the puzzle.
Love it. Well, give me the information so I can get it in the ticker here for.
I will do, but there's no information for your ticker just yet, because it's all like, it's just coming.
I know it's going to be amazing because it has your name on it.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mutual love there.
Is that a good heart? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. I got it all.
Yeah, you guys look that. So
I'm working on it.
So what are we talking? We're talking about leaving your job as an employee, leaving what you're up to right now for either your side hustle or starting a whole new business, and our takes. And I was hoping that we could share our stories as well on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can share stories and statistics and tips, and I would share a chocolate chip cookie, but it's hard to pass that through the computer.
I was going to say, it might take a bit to get here.
Technology's not there yet.
Yeah,
Nah.
not yet. Someday.
Mm.
Someday. So,
Yeah.
okay, so, well, all right, Sam, do you you wanna start with I guess with a quick story about your leaving businesses or leaving being an employee?
Yeah, so I was just talking about this yesterday actually. I had a huge corporate career. It went for about 18 months. It was massive like before I decided, not for me. So I started a side hustle. I started my dance studio and I did it out of hours. And within 6 months, I decided to open my second business. And once I decided that, obviously I had to leave my job. However, we were in a position where, and my husband at the time was working, so he supported two businesses getting up and running. And I want to go into that a little bit more in a little while because, I want to share why I thought of this as an episode. So I don't want to jump in with there yet before you guys share your story.
You wanna go next, Jen?
Sure. Yeah, I happened to jump in pretty quick because I started my first company when I was 19, and the job that I was working was part-time and I was making minimum wage, but I was working in a job that was feeding my business. So I was working at a veterinarian's office and I started a pet sitting company and I was getting my clients as a referral from the veterinarian. And that is what, seeded my business. So at 19, I had no mortgage. I didn't have a car payment. I had no family to support. So I was able to leave. It's really easy to replace a minimum wage salary, part-time salary with, a business that has been seeded so generously by that employer. So I was able to leave really quickly because I had very little risk. And I think that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today in terms of knowing when
Mm-hmm.
to leave, is
Mm-hmm.
you really have to assess your own personal risks. And everyone's going to be a little different. I think if you have a family that you're supporting, like children and that sort of thing, and you have a mortgage and you have bills that can't easily be dismissed, or reduced, you have a higher risk factor than I did at 19. Like, what was I going to lose? I started my business with $75 because that's what I had in my bank account. So very low risk because people are like, oh, you were so brave to start your business so young. I'm like, no, I was the least brave of
It's
all because so
actually on
easy.
that because I was 20, Jen. So
There you go.
do you feel that it was easier because
Yeah.
when you're younger, it's like, what have I
I
got
was
to lose? I
I
mean,
was
I had a
dumber.
mortgage and kids at that
Oh, you
age,
had,
but
oh, that's very
oh
impressive.
yeah, but
It was easier because I was stupider,
mhm.
more stupid, still not very bright.
I'm nodding
Um,
because I get it, not because you are stupid.
No, and I say that because I didn't know. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about business. If I had known, I may have scared myself out of it because I ended up working so hard to make this
Hmm.
business successful. And I didn't, like I said, I had $75 in my bank account. What was I risking? So I think it was easier. I was also younger. I had more energy, so I could take the abuse of entrepreneurship pretty well. I could work, 14-hour days and you know, for months on end. And I don't know that I could do that today. So
Mm,
Hmm.
I think it was definitely easier in a lot of ways.
totally.
That brings us to you, Joe Pardo, and your
This is very,
entrepreneurial
very
story.
different, definitely very different story.
Mhm.
Well, what's funny is I always was doing something, right? Whether I was DJing, had my own like small DJ company. Heck, when I was a kid, I was like selling Nintendo cartridges out of a wagon and stuff. It was. So it was always something that I was interested in doing, but it wouldn't be until I was about 27, but it was like 20, 24, 25 is when I made the decision, like I want to do something else. I don't know what it is, and I was already, I grew up in my family's business, and I had grown, hugely. I don't know, bigly, as some president somewhere would
Muchly.
say. Muchly, yes. And it consumed pretty much everything, and unfortunately I didn't like have the opportunity of like having somebody else that was making enough money. I mean, my wife was working at the time, but she had just started finally actually being a teacher at the time. So like I didn't have a huge like income to like lean on or anything like that. And honestly, to get out of the company, I had to take on a whole bunch of bills that I did not have before, right? I didn't have a cell phone bill prior. I didn't have a car payment before that because it was all like, here's the company car and like, here's your phone and that's how we pay you, so you don't make a whole lot of money. And but it's like, oh well, here's how much the mortgage is. So like, okay, here's exactly to like the penny, so that you have exactly the amount of money that you need to like have your house and keep everything. So I was things rich, money poor kind of situation. So to leave, I mean, it took like over 3 years of making that decision of like, do I want to leave, and like, what does that look like, and what do I want to do? Because like it had been years since I really had thought about it. And I knew that DJing for me wasn't going to be like a career, because I knew that lifestyle, like I have plenty of friends in that lifestyle, and like I'm like, it's a lifestyle. Like it was fun when I was 7 years younger, 8 years younger, 9 years younger, but now it's like, do I really want to stay up all night at the club to like make the connections and get the FaceTime and all that stuff and work my way into those paying gigs that pay more and more? It just was like, I don't think I really want to do all that. So when I finally left, it wasn't very ceremonious. It was very unwelcomed by a lot of people, and it was risky, because there was a chance that like my whole goal was like, don't lose the house, whatever I do. Like I started building websites for people. I was doing business consulting. I started up a podcast a month after I left. Like all these things, and I was going to school at the time too, because I still didn't know what I really wanted to do. So it took a lot of time and a lot more hours. And I remember my neighbor across the street be like, I saw your light was still on at like 2 and 3 in the morning. And like, yeah, I'm trying to get these projects done, trying to get the podcast together, do all that editing that I don't do any editing anymore, but things like that. Just there was a lot to lose there, and it was definitely a difficult period of time, for sure.
What I'm hearing is all three of us really started off doing something that was like our apprenticeship. I put it in air quotes, and that what we did by going and doing those things actually helped us learn what we did to move forward. So we didn't start off doing what we do now, but we went out there and we hustled and we worked hard and we got experience and all the things to wind up where we are now.
I'd like to share a statistic, because I think this is impressive. I say don't quit your day job to start a business, because research has shown that those who kept their jobs while starting their businesses were 33% more likely to be successful than their risk-taking counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning these were people that didn't leave their and then not know kind of what they were doing, but they stayed in their job and they built their business on the side before leaving their company.
That is the reason I actually decided to do this episode. So I was on a phone call a couple of weeks ago with someone that had reached out to me and said, I need some help. And we jumped on a call, and this person had left a $75,000 a year job. Her business coach had advised her to she'd left that job to open her business, and was making $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month.
Bit of a pay cut.
A lot,
just a bit of a pay cut.
And this is where I got really frustrated, because her business coach said to her, you have to go all in, or you should go all in. And I really feel strongly about this. I think that is terrible advice for so many reasons. Exactly like you said, Jen. If you are unable to pay your bills, some people might say, oh, well, you have to get your business up and running faster. But how do you do that when you have no money coming in the door, when you don't really know what you're doing, when you've got setup costs? And the other thing is, it really, really eats into your confidence. I know that I have definitely had times in my business over the last 27 years, multiple times, where it felt really uncomfortable. Maybe I had a big tax bill, or we were coming up to pay staff one week and didn't have the money there. Or, things happen. It does not feel comfortable. And those are not the times that I went, oh, let's go and do these major projects. It was like all you were doing was trying to get that one thing done. And I think it eats your confidence hugely. And I personally think it's really bad advice to leave your job and walk away from having the security of income.
I have to agree with you. And I think the other element that I want to mention in that equation is, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what your business is going to be, you don't have something backed by passion and a vision, the chances are you're not going to be able to keep it going, because you need that passion and that vision to maintain you during those tough days, because willpower is not enough. It's just not. You're going to have those tough days. You need to have something that you believe in, and you need to believe in serving your customer, serving your clients, believing in the products that you're selling to sustain you. And you also need to prove that people want to buy what you're selling.
Yes.
People beyond your friends and family. You need to sell to strangers. You need a proof of concept. Until you have that, it's when you leave the security of a full-time job, you're taking a much bigger risk.
100%.
Much bigger risk. And then that risk could lead you to make some maybe not so great decisions, or you can find yourself floundering doing something you like less than the full-time job that you left.
Yeah, you make decisions that aren't, absolutely. You make really strange decisions when your back's at the wall that much.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long game, and business takes a lot of patience. It really takes a lot of patience. And I think too many people who want to be entrepreneurs are thinking of the money. They're thinking, I'm going to be rich, or I just want to make a quick buck. I see all these people on, social media doing it, and they have the vision of the money, but they don't have the purpose behind that vision. There's nothing to back it up. So then they just go and, I'm going to be an affiliate marketer. I'm going to make passive income. I don't really have an idea other than I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't think that's enough.
No, because you don't know what happens behind the scenes, right? You see people making money, and then you don't understand the amount of hours and the amount of moving parts that have gone into that. It's not just, I'll go and do that. Maybe you don't have an audience. Maybe you don't have a list. Maybe you don't have a network. You don't have partners. There's so many pieces. Maybe you don't have the technology. You don't have the understanding of how to write copy. I could keep going and going and going. There's so many things that happen behind the scenes.
Joe, I know you have something to add, because I have a feeling you don't necessarily agree with us, because you did take a leap before you had your business completely mapped out.
Yeah. So the only way I would condone what that business coach said, Sam and Jen, is if I knew that they already had a runway of money, like that they could like live off of. Like, okay, look, you have a year, you have a year's worth. You've gotten your expenses down. You've paid off all the credit cards. You're set. Like, the only thing stopping you at this point is time, right? If that's the thing, and you've really identified it, and you have the money to do it, then I'm not totally against it at that point. $1,000 a month is not a lot to go off of. Again, unless you already have like a reservoir of money built up, where it's like, well, if we add 1,000 a month right now, and we can get that to 2,000, and 3,000 or 4,000 pretty quickly, then it's not the end of the world. We could keep replenishing. So that's the only way that I would sign off on that as a numbers and processes person myself. It's gotta make sense in that regard. But I can't resonate the can you get more sales than just your friends and family, right? Like that's a big thing, right?
That's a litmus test right there.
Yeah. It's sometimes I think it's a hard pill to swallow too, right? Because we want to believe that like, oh well, this worked, and sometimes I feel like I swing the opposite way and negative, like yeah, I know it worked, but did it really work? Because like it didn't work enough, or it hasn't extrapolated out enough across the numbers to like really show whether or not it's really going to work, or just kind of work like 1%, like 0.1% of the time, and it just happened to be that 0.1% happened already, and it'll be another 99.9% time before it happens again, before it works again. So I think that having some sort of plan. Look, did I have a real plan when I left? No, I went back to school months, like 9 months prior to leaving the company. And I still didn't really know. And the teachers there were like, we don't really know what you're doing here, Joe. Like, you're passing all the tests. Like, I had some of the teachers come to my house for meal, like to have dinner and stuff. Like, we were hanging out because like we were all like not the same age, but within roughly, the same. And I was definitely older than any of the kids were in the class. I was in the classes with at that point. So, they're like, well, what do you really want to do? Like, I don't know. Like, I got to get a degree. Like, that's a thing, right? And they're like, yeah, but you're not going fast enough for it to matter. It's going to take you 8 years to get a 2-year degree, and then it's great. You're going to have your associates. Ding, ding. Hooray. Good for you. Where's your bachelor's? And it's like, well, great. That's not a real plan either. So, and I think that there's also something to be said for, especially if you're just like after I really want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be that person on the beach hanging out, getting the ding ding, the ding ding sales in my inbox and stuff. Like there's, it takes time to like craft those things, right? To gain those skills. If you're not a web developer, if you're not an email writer, right? If you're not a sales copy person, if you're not a video maker, if you're not, there's like all these things. That's like, if you're not that person, like and to even know what topic and niche you're going to go into, like alone could take years, right? Like they say, like, if you want to be a YouTuber, you got to make like 1,000 videos before you get there, right? 100 videos of crap. They're just going to be crap videos, and then that 100 videos, hopefully you'll figure out who you want to serve, like the topic that you're actually going to hone in on, and find the people that you're actually going to serve, because you probably don't know who that even is if that's where you're at. So just jumping out and saying like, I'm an entrepreneur. So like, here's an example. I'm playing a game the other night with my boy Dre, and he's one of our listeners, watchers here on the Business Geeks, and we're playing a game, and there's this guy in there, and he's like, so what do you guys all do? Because there's like 4 of us playing, and like, they're telling, and I was like, oh, I'm a business consultant and podcast conference owner and blah, blah, blah. So he's like, so you're an unemployed contract worker, a millennial contract unemployed worker. And I was like, oh, it's like, I don't think so, but okay, sure. If that makes you feel better about yourself, then be my guest. And shout out to him, because you know what, he said he was like the foremost COVID-19 researcher, nurse practitioner or something at the hospital they worked at. So like, shout out to him for doing the hard work that we all need. So I mean, maybe not so much you, Sam, because you got your act together down south, but like we need all the help we can get up here. But it just it kind of put things into perspective. I'm like, man, like that's how it looked at. Like that's crazy.
Well, I think he was probably just trying to be funny, and probably
he left our team shortly after that. We had been playing for several rounds around, like because he had a mic. We play with people who have mics. Like if you don't get a mic, you ain't getting invited in to play the next game and the next game and next game. So he left shortly after that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I wanted to make another point about the full-time job, because I think a lot of people think of their full-time job as a burden, as something they want to shed as soon as possible. I get it, because I've never really had a full-time job, so I don't want one. But when I will say that if you kind of shift your mindset a little bit and think of your job as an asset, I think that's really valuable, because your job is where you can start your network of people, right? Because most people, their friends are in the workplace, your mentors, Also, they could be your first like test audience for the products or service that you're selling. And not only that, but if you're, struggling to come up with an idea for a business, when I started my pet sitting company, the reason it started was because in this minimum wage job, at the veterinary office, there was a need for people to care for their pets because they were sickly or needed medication or insulin injections, and they could not stand the stress of being in a kennel environment. It would make them sicker. And people, their owners who loved them dearly, wanted to keep them at home. But in order to do that, you had to have somebody that you trusted come in and be able to give injections and, pill their cat and all these things. So I saw a need there, and ultimately I was planning on going to veterinary school. All I wanted to do was work with animals, and I didn't know how I was going to pay for veterinary school. And so I was like, hey, I get to work with animals. People are willing to pay me to do it. This could be a business. This was from a minimum wage job. You wouldn't think that this could spawn a 7-figure business, but that's exactly what it did. So because I had some intimate knowledge from being in that environment, I saw a need. Now, that doesn't make me a genius. I'm saying everybody has that opportunity in their work environment. I bet every day you're like, this company needs blank. This company should do this thing for our customers, and it would make it so much better. This process could be improved if only they change this. I mean, I bet you have the seed of a business idea and you might not even know it because you have intimate knowledge of an industry, a workplace, a sector. So anyway, start there. Think of your job as an asset before you consider it a burden.
I was
100%. 100%.
I was watching a video and they were talking about, but there was a Graham Stephan video, and they were doing like a house tour or something like that, and the guy's like, oh, like they came in and they saw my house, my first video, and they were like, oh, we could totally organize this stuff for you, and totally do it for free, and like there's house organizers, and he's like, that just goes, it just goes to show you, like anything can be a position, right, and a company. Literally just come in and organize all the stuff for somebody.
In my neighborhood, or in my county, I should say, not my neighborhood, my county, they stopped glass recycling, curbside service. We used to be able to put all of our recycles out and they would come, and well, they stopped their glass because it was mucking up the machinery. So now you have to drive all of your glass to a recycling center. It's not that hard, but it's an inconvenience because you got to collect all your glass bottles and then take it. So some teenagers started a business where it's $5. They'll come to your house. You just leave your glass, recycling on your porch. They'll come pick it up and take it to the recycling center for you.
Yay!
I thought
that's so good.
The epitome of entrepreneurship. Now, $5 a pickup, I can tell them that they're not charging enough to make this a sustainable business. But they're teenagers, so their parents are paying for the car and the gas and the insurance. So, it's pure profit for them just by virtue of their circumstance. But I mean, there are literally opportunities everywhere.
And it's also a really good way to learn. Let's face it. There's nothing like at the end of the week going, I worked really hard and didn't earn enough, to go, I need to charge more. It's like there's one thing for someone to tell you what you should be doing. There's a whole nother to figure it out yourself.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, I think they're within the price range, because you figure if there's like 20 houses on a street, right? At times 5, that's $100. So you get like,
if they get them all, it's a big county,
right. Yeah, right. But I don't know. I maybe the price is really like $7.99 or $8.99, somewhere like that gets it enough where it becomes a thing. But I think they're in the market. I think they're like in that.
I think they can make it work
spot.
with volume, and if they got like a subscription where like you just pay like every week whether they come or not, like.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've got 3 things that I've noticed that people make the mistake so they can't move into their business faster. So do you mind if I share these?
No,
I would love for you to share those.
Number 1, and I think we've covered this a little bit, is spending time on the wrong things. I see this a lot, spending time doing making sure the website's perfect, spending a year trying to make a perfect funnel, while someone else has actually gone out, had an idea, exactly like you, Jen, exactly like, well, all three of us, like, okay, let's just go see if it works. Let's just go do it. And we get a full year's lead in on the person that's still trying to perfect everything. I mean, I started business before websites. So, of course, we didn't have one, but it was just like, I'm doing this. And I just went and did it. So I think that number one is spending time on the wrong things will definitely slow you down. Now, the second mistake that I see people making is that hoping that sales will just happen. Like saying, I'm in business and just expecting something to miraculously come and just sitting there and thinking one day they might come.
Yeah. Nobody's looking for you. Nobody's looking for you.
No, you actually have to make the sales yourself. And number three, the third thing I see, and Joe, you definitely did not do this, so hats off to you, is waiting for clarity, because clarity doesn't come first. You have to take action to have clarity come.
As long as you're not at risk of losing your house or putting people you care
100%. That's why I kept my job and started my business on the side. I just had to jump in, see what would work. I didn't know how much it was going to cost. I didn't know how hard it was going to be. 6 months later, I was able to leave. But like I said, my husband was still working at that time, and he did for another 2 years after that, because we started a retail store. So we had a huge amount that went into inventory. But, we had a plan. That's the biggest thing. We had a plan. Didn't just go, let's do this.
I love a good plan. I also, a lot of people I hear say that they feel so much more secure in having a job. Like they would love to have their own business, but they can't give up the job security. And I get that, but I also believe that job security is a myth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that secure. I don't think it's as secure as you think it is. A company can go out of business at any point. They can do layoffs. Your position can be obsolete.
We could have a global pandemic.
We could have a global pandemic. I mean, anything can happen. I feel much more confident relying on myself and my own capabilities, because I have more control over that than I do a job. And then they also, they're like, oh, health insurance and 401k. Guess what? You can get your own health insurance and you can manage your own 401k. You don't need an employer to do any of that. Yes, it's probably cheaper
and easier.
and easier, but it is possible. And particularly if you're young, the health insurance, you don't need the Cadillac plan. You can get away with a high deductible and keep the costs down. But they also have self-employed insurance networks. So once you look into that, it becomes a lot less scary. But don't assume that it is so hard and so risky to start a business.
And Joe, you just said easier. I would actually say I think a better word for that is just different, because I think the idea of having to get up and go to a job for the same amount of hours every day does not sound easier to me.
Well, that's not, no, I didn't mean that. I meant just getting the insurance in general. But with that said, you don't have as much choice, and it's kind of selected for you. So you might have two plans or maybe three plans, but that's not everywhere. So I would say that the options are there, and as an employer or owner of yourself, like trying to find the right plans. Like I've been in those discussions tons and tons of times. It's like it seems like a really bad I don't know what the politically correct term is anymore, but it seems like a real big panic every time that the health insurance needs to be done again. Like, oh, it's coming up, and the things aren't going right, and the broker isn't getting back to us fast enough, and we don't know, and people are asking questions, and nobody understands it, and so it's just a whole bunch of things like that. Oh my God, I didn't even notice.
Tim and Patty are here, and they've got things to say.
Hey, Patty. Hey,
Patty.
Tim. I was wondering if we had anyone on today. Normally, our comments, there's a lot happening, and I was like, oh, I think we're talking to ourselves today.
Well, I think we have to read. I like reading the comments for the audio version. So Patty here says, hi, Joe, Jennifer, and Samantha. Hey, Patty.
Hey, Patty.
Greetings from Florida. Great to catch this live. Impeccable timing as I am wanting to hop on the live stream training and needing to create a content calendar to launch a new podcast show in 2021. More competition. Samantha, I see you're offering a workshop in creating content. Can you speak more about it? Sam, this is for you.
Oh, except I didn't realize that was still on the ticker because that has been and gone. But it's not the last time. So, Patty, let's connect and I can let you know what I've got coming up.
Yeah, we are so glad you are here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So, so what else? What else do we have to add to this? Whether or not you should or how you should go about jumping it.
I think there's one thing that we didn't address that I think plays a factor. If you're in a job that's a toxic workplace, and yes, they're out there. If you're being undervalued, underpaid, if you are so stressed you're making yourself sick, I'd say it's time to accelerate the exit plan, right? You're going to be much better off working for yourself. We cannot stress the importance of, or the impact, I should say. We can't stress enough the impact of stress in an unhealthy work environment plays. And, too many of us spend too much time in places where we're being not underappreciated or even abused. And we put ourselves in very vulnerable positions when we do that. So if that's you, I hope it's not, but if that's you, I give a thumbs up for accelerating your exit plan, maybe earlier than somebody else who's in a healthier work environment. Does that?
Yeah, well said,
fair?
Jen. Well said. Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to cover that base.
Yeah, totally. And I'm talking about, today I've mentioned about, keeping your security there for a little while you're setting up. Exactly what you just said, though, Jen. Accelerate it as fast as possible. Just because it's there doesn't mean that it needs to be there forever. I am not saying stay in your, part-time job forever. I'm just saying maybe hang on to it for a few months. Make sure that you've got consistent income coming in. At the point where you do make that jump, it'll be scary, but that is when I think that as long as you have the foundations in place, jumping into your business full time will definitely pay off in big dividends because you'll be able to give 100% of energy, focus, time to your business. So I'm about keep your job for as little time as possible.
Yes, I think we can all agree on that. And lean on your friends. And I am putting us in the friend bucket. If you are leaving your full-time job to pursue your part-time business full-time, please let us know. We will tell the world, our little world, about your business. We'll be happy to shout you out and support you in any way we can. Lean on your small business community. I have never met a group of, harder working, more dedicated, more generous of spirit group than small business owners. We all get what you're going through. We've been there. It's a roller coaster ride, and you know what? The country needs it. All countries need it. Small
Absolutely.
businesses.
Yeah, we need to keep that economy moving. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
We support you.
Absolutely. I do have something for Patty, though. I do. Do you mind if I share, guys? I've got a PDF called Employee to Empowered Entrepreneur. You can grab that at samanthariley.global/employee, and it gives you the 5 tips to get your business up and running. And also I break down those 3 mistakes I mentioned quickly in a little bit more detail. So yeah, that's at samanthariley.global/entrepreneur. God, I had to think then. Entrepreneur, what are we?
The hardest word to spell in the English language.
Absolutely.
There's that link, everyone. Take advantage of that Sam's resources are great. I've looked at quite a few of them. They're always great. They're always valuable. Let's see. Okay, are we wrapping up this topic? Are we good?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see the let's see. There's a quote. Did somebody write a quote in here in our notes?
That
here?
must be Jen.
That's me, because I love quotes, and I think a good summary quote is a powerful thing. So this is: doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. We get in our own way. Never doubt yourself. You can do this. That's a quote by somebody named Susie Kassem. I have no idea who she is. I hope she is not a horrible person.
She's got a good quote.
Yeah, right.
I usually look up who it is if I don't know them, just to make sure like it's not like a Nazi quote or something. But I did not do that this time. So
oh boy.
I hope Susie's a cool chick.
No, I think that sounds good.
And Jen, you have 2 Grind My Gears this week?
2.
Well, yes. Is that too many?
No, it's not.
No.
Go ahead. We got time. Go ahead.
All right. Just bear with me, because I know you've all felt this pain. You're on a website as innocent as can be, and up comes the pop-up window. And you don't want to give them your email, and you don't want the download. You just want to get back to, perusing the site. But gosh darn it, you can't find the close button for the window. Is there a close button? I mean, where is it? Why can't you see it? Did they hide it? Do you have to give them your email before you can actually exit out of that pop-up window? The very purposefully hidden close button on the pop-up window is a sin. It's a sin. It is a sin. It's a deadly sin as far as I'm concerned. I get so mad. Grinds my gears. Am I the only one?
No, but I usually just click off of it, or I'll hit the escape key to see if that works.
Not that easy sometimes. It's not always that easy.
You know what's really easy? Hitting the back button and go and find another page that isn't beating you over the head for your email address.
You know what's easy? Not giving you my money. Not buying the product. Not signing up for whatever you're selling, because I get so mad. Related but different.
Yes.
The website where you want to know more about the products or services they are selling, but they will absolutely not share any information with you until you actually set up an account. How do I know if I want an account if you won't give me any information? And if I sign up for an account and then I see the information and I don't like it, I'm now on your email list, and you're going to bombard me with emails, and I'm going to see the ads in my Facebook feed. There's no escaping the hell that you've created.
I'm scared right now. I'm scared, Jen.
Make it stop. Why are you making me make an account when I just want information about your business? I'm going to cry. I'm so mad. It's so frustrating.
Oh, wow.
It's bad business practice. There's nothing you have that is so good that you have to require an account to be made in order to share it with people. Why are you putting up the wall? Take down the wall.
I don't ever recall having that situation happen to me.
Yeah,
I mustn't be on those websites.
It's a new thing. No, it is happening more and more. I wish I could remember the exact company, but with Sparent, we have been researching a new time tracker. And so, oh my gosh, just the research alone on time trackers, because we as an agency have some specific needs that not all time trackers address. And to get the information for a lot of them, you have to set up an account in order to, get the demo and see the information, and even to get the pricing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I didn't understand what you were talking about. Now I'm on the train.
Sorry. My passion clouded my point. Patty's like, Cindy, how do you really feel? Did I express myself clearly?
I know it's hard to tell, isn't it, Patty? You just can't tell with Jen.
So mad.
So funny.
I mean, that's annoying with like, I guess it's like the Washington Post or whatever. People are like sharing these articles, and you click on it, it's like you can't see the article because it's like it's like, hey, sign up, subscribe to.
That is
Washington
so
Post. And I'm
frustrating.
like, why did you share this article? I can't read. Like, I guess I have to pay for the Washington Post. Like, thanks for giving them free advertising for me to like click on, pay them to read the article.
Oh my gosh. Mary Sue, it was not your website. No, Mary Sue, worksmarterdigital.com, has a lot of information. You do not have to make an account to get it. Absolutely not. I think she just manipulated me to say her website. It worked.
Good job. Good job, Mary Sue. Sam, I sent you a video. Did you get to see that video I sent you from like a week ago? Remember, I was at a local business, and the guy, the manager, was like getting indignant with the customer, and like told him to leave, and then it was like, I'll call the cops. he immediately like went to, I'm gonna call the cops. And the guy wasn't like getting loud or anything. He's like, I just want my phone fixed. That's all I want. And he's like, I can't fix your phone. They won't warrant it. You got to call the number. You need to leave. And he's like, but I just want he's like, I will call the cops. And I'm like, whoa, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Seriously. But I'll tell you what grinds my gears about. So this place, I took an iPad to get fixed there back in March. And then I left for Florida, and COVID happened, and I just, wasn't on the top of my list, but I knew it was still there. So I'm like, oh, cool, I'll go back and go get it. Well, guess what? When I walk in the door and I'm talking to the guy who just, got done telling the other customer to get out or he's going to call the cops on him, the other kid comes back and he's like, oh yeah, well, we recycled anything that was left here from like, COVID days, because apparently they shut the place down and then like reopened it with a new owner. Or new management or something from the franchise. I don't know. Anyway, the guy that was in front of me was like, I guess he's the owner or managing whatever. So he's like, oh, well, if it was here, like we would have called you and sent you. I was like, if you had called me, I would have came. I would have drove the 15 minutes and go pick up. And I'm not going to let a Verizon enabled iPad just go to waste. After the other kid had said like, oh yeah, we recycled everything that like people didn't come pick up. I'm like, it was an iPad. It was a Verizon iPad. So he walks me out of the store and he's like, okay, we're going to give you this iPad. It's the only iPad we have in the store apparently. And it was like an old iPad Air from like 2013. So it doesn't even have like the newest software or anything like that. We walk into the Verizon store literally next door. And I'm like, you couldn't. You had an iPad that was cell phones, enabled. You didn't know who it belonged to because apparently nobody checked it in when I dropped it back off because the home button didn't work when I picked it up the first time, and you recycled it. That's what you did. You literally have a Verizon store next door that the people's names that work there, and you recycled it. So I'm still paying for it. He's like, well, here's an iPad Air, and I'm like,
wow.
Great. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Like, I'm so glad that nobody thought to just be like, hey, what service is this with? Oh, it's with Verizon. Let me walk next door and find out who it belongs to.
I think the point of this story is that Joe sent Sam a video without sending it to me.
I'll send you the video. I'll send you the video.
Oh, wow.
That's terrible.
Feel left out.
I am the worst.
Feel like you're just not thought of sometimes.
I am the worst.
You ever feel like there's an inside joke that you're not part of?
I'm sending
it right now. You can
come
to my birthday party, Jen.
That's right, Mary Sue. How is it legal? How is that legal that he did not share that video with me? That should be illegal.
It's fixed. I shared it. I shared it. It is illegal, and I apologize. I forget. How did that happen?
I forget that I have another co-host.
No, I think Sam and I were in the middle of a conversation.
We were actually we were discussing something else.
Yeah, and it came up, and I just was. Yeah, clearly.
We were.
Were you even thinking about me?
I think we should back. You know that Homer Simpson gif where he just backs into the bushes.
You know I'm vulnerable right now.
We love you so much, Jen.
Yes, no, we do, and that's
tears.
just I was literally sitting. I think I was literally sitting in the place at the time in which. No, I guess I couldn't have been because it was at 5:43 p.m. So I definitely wasn't still in that building. But
I'll get over it.
I'm sorry. I sent you the video. You'll love it. You'll see.
Now we're going to be sending so many videos, Jen. In a couple of weeks, you're going to be like, "Can you just stop sending the videos?"
Yes. I'm going to unsubscribe to you.
Way too many videos, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
So who is getting your who's getting lunch money this week?
So. I'm in Australia, so this isn't going to apply to anyone, but I want to pre-frame this.
That's not true. We put it the times in Australian Eastern Time.
I know, but there's lots of people here, Florida, and I know Mary Sue's not in Australia. But I just got my professional headshots redone, and I am so happy with them. Jen, I know you just got some professional shots done. The fancy pink shiny jacket, I love them. And I just wanted to say, I think it's really important that you do have professional images in your business. So I thoroughly recommend Melinda Hurd Photography in Australia. But I wanted to say, photographers are probably having a hard time with COVID as well. Great time to get out, get your images redone. And I'm sure if you want a referral to photographer in most places with our networks, we can probably find someone to refer you to if you're looking for a photographer. But definitely in Australia, Melinda Hurd Photography. I'm so excited and happy with what she did.
They are so good, and Leon's turned out so good as well. They're just amazing. And I was so glad you brought this up because I did recently have my, brand photos done. Melissa Demple Photography in the DC metro area is who I used. She's also a brand photographer. And these are not, you could tell from, Sam's photos, a brand photographer does a lot more than just give you your standard headshot. Like, she worked with crafting a story. She got to know my business. She really helped me fine tune what I wanted my brand to communicate to my ideal clients. And that was really important. And I had really undervalued the importance of it for so long because I was like, I have a business. I'm not really a personal brand. But these days, modern times, you have to show up in so many different ways, whether it's a speaking gig or your social media profiles or a podcast. You just can't get away with not showing your face. So I was so happy that I got it done. And it really does polish up your professional image, which I think is so important.
Absolutely. And you're right. Yeah. Photographers don't just take photos. Like, a really good photographer, there is so much strategy that happens behind the scenes that make them look that way so that your ideal clients notice you. So, yeah.
I think I would be in trouble if I didn't give two shout outs to both my sister's photography business and to one of our listeners. See, I don't want to get any more trouble today. So let me see. What was it? Williams Banks Photography and I got to give a shout out. If you're in the Philly area, Michelle McMahon, my sister does some phenomenal work. Yeah, there's my son. There's Dom. So she does great work in the Philly area, and my boy Dre, who is a avid watcher, listener of the show, he does great work down in the Atlanta, Georgia area.
And your sister does family photography primarily, is that?
Well,
right?
That and what she's getting more and more in the weddings, so she has like a whole wedding site that I guess she doesn't have linked right at here at the top to help me out. But yeah, she does weddings. She's getting more and more into the wedding scene. She has her own studio as well. And of course, I got to give a shout out to our MapCon family, Jeanette Pellegrini, who I don't think I have. It says JeanettePphotography.com. I don't know how I remember all these crazy long. Yeah, so she does great, like, all kinds of photos. She does weddings and also events too, like concerts. She has some awesome photos from like different concerts and stuff like that. I thought that this had those photos, but I guess.
I would think that between the three of us, we have a lot of photographers in our networks.
We do. We absolutely do. Oh, is it?
I mean, look at these faces. I mean, they're made for cameras, right?
Yeah, right.
No, that's why we need the good photographers, right? Well, I mean, just say that for me.
The ones that really know Photoshop.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So yeah, you definitely want to reach out to somebody who knows what the heck they're doing and can do more than just, take the pictures and give them to you on a thumb drive or share them to you. So
it's a good investment.
Yeah, absolutely. They can give more thought behind the pictures and all that. So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up this week. The Business Geeks. We're back to an hour-long episode. How crazy is that?
How did it happen?
Oh, I'm going to get in trouble, guys.
Oh, no. Are you running behind? You have a meeting?
No. My team's going to be like, you promised us half hour. You promised us.
You just can't shut us up.
Leon, I apologize in advance.
Same here, Patty.
Yes. It was great.
Thank
great
you so
reconnecting
much.
with you, Patty. It's been years since I've seen you. I hope to see you sometime soon hopefully down in Florida.
Yeah, I love all of Patty's comments. I can't type in the chat for some reason, so don't think that I'm not noticing.
Can't?
No,
I can't. I've never been able to.
Oh, yeah. We need to fix that.
We don't have the girls don't have the power here.
You did have the power. Well, Jen had the power, but she got a new computer. Oh, by the way, did you get your bed yet, Jen?
No,
yeah.
I'm still waiting on my bed.
Still not.
There's a problem in the supply chain.
Oh,
Thank you, COVID. Yeah. I'm getting like pieces of my bed, but I don't have the whole. I have the mattress and I have the sheets because it was a package deal. But I don't have my adjustable frame, the most important piece. I don't have my weighted blanket. I don't have my pillows.
Oh
man, what are they doing?
I don't know. It's been a thing that we've had to call customer service, which,
Did they tell you to leave the store? They call the cops?
They did not tell me to leave the store. There's no video. There's no video that I'll share.
There's no evidence.
And not the other.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's been fun having everybody in the chat. We've had Meg and we've had Mary Sue. We've had Tim and Patty and
Brad,
Felix
and Felix,
Tim,
yes.
Brad.
You
guys make our world go round. You really do.
Absolutely. And you if you want to join us every single Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 7 a.m. Australian Eastern Time on Tuesday, then you absolutely should here over at facebook.com/business. Is it Business Geeks or Business Geeks Podcast?
Business Geeks Podcast.
Okay, I thought it was Business Geeks Podcast. And you should totally join us. Join us in the chat and come have a good time with us every Monday. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Business Geeks Podcast, share it with the business geek in your life. Send us your questions and suggestions to questions@businessgeekspodcast.com. We are the Business Geeks, and we will see you all next week. Take care. Have a great week.